everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Showtimes, the show podcast talky thing that I have with a friend. This time it's Jared once again, because he's kind of the only friend I have that can do this with me at this time of day.
I mean, we used to do these in video form, but it has turned into podcasts because of COVID.
in the before times.
In the before times. Also, we used to do these on. We also used to do these on my channel, and now we do them on your channel because I also haven't shot a real video in like a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't know. Is your channel like defunct now, or?
I mean, it's still up and active, and I actually still get views and comments. It's just I haven't shot anything because
what's that like? Getting views?
I
haven't experienced that since long ago.
I mean, all the comments I get now are either robots or people making fun of us, but...
I mean, again, at least you get interaction. Shit. I'd kill to be made fun of by this point.
Man. It's just one of those, the situation that happened in my life, and
I know. You went through a bit of a thing. I went through a bit of a thing on my end, and there's reasons neither of us have posted in a while. But we're not here to talk about our personal lives and why they suck. We're here to talk about why movies and TV shows suck. And the first one we'll talk about is New Mutants, because boy, did they really expect to release this in a theater for people to pay money for?
I mean, I think, the screenings weren't great, and, I mean, this was also during, the Fox-Disney buyout, and it just...
Yeah.
This movie had so many problems with getting released, and I see, after watching the movie, why.
It just kind of becomes self-evident.
I mean, this movie is a meh movie that does not know what it wants to be. It was advertised as more of a horror movie that wasn't really a horror movie. I was watching the Honest trailer for this the other day, and it said the best thing I think I can describe this as. This movie feels like a rejected CW pilot for an X-Men show.
I can see that, yes. That actually makes a lot of sense. I haven't watched one of their videos in a while now. We're just talking about... God, I want to talk about anything but fucking New Mutants. Oh my god.
I was the one who suggested it because I was like, hey, it finally came out after 2+ years of nightmare. It finally got released.
Yes. Well, there's the thing. I saw it advertised. At a local theater, I saw it. It was on the marquee, and I was like, that movie's still a thing?
Yeah, it got released right as COVID hit bad. So, yes. I mean, it obviously didn't do anything at the box offices. And then they release it for DVD later. I mean, this year's been a tough year for everybody, but this movie has been in development and release hell. This movie was supposed to come out 2 or 3 years ago, and then it got pushed back so it wouldn't have to compete with other movies because of the Fox Disney buyout. So
I remember
Disney technically
this thing was supposed to be at least 2017 was when I first heard about this.
So to tell you how old the release for this movie was, I still worked at the movie theater, and we got posters for this thing when I worked there.
That was a while ago. Wow.
I've been at my current job for about 2.5 years now.
So, almost 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, wow. I genuinely didn't think it would be that long ago, but apparently it is.
I mean, but I can see why this thing was marketed as so much, and it's really, there's not much to talk about. This girl is trying to control her powers.
A bunch of kids sit in a therapy circle for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then they fight a bear.
Yeah,
there's your movie. I saved you an hour and a half, kids.
Basically, you see basically the very beginning, freaking Danielle Moonstar. Danny Moonstar.
Danielle Moonstar, who is the character... Shoot, I looked her up.
Mirage,
thank you.
Mirage.
Yes. Created by... who's that guy who writes for Road Excalibur? He was Chris Claremont.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Chris
artist Bob McLeod.
Yes, who are a wonderful pairing together. I strongly recommend a lot of Chris Claremont's stuff. He does some damn fun work when you can find it.
I mean, comics-wise, she's not a terrible character, but like this, it seemed very weird.
That's kind of the interesting thing. Nobody in their comic book counterparts are bad characters, despite the fact that the movie would have you believe otherwise, especially in the case of one character in particular.
The Doctor?
No. Colossus's little sister, who is just
Magic?
The worst fucking person. Like, through the entire movie. And by the time you actually get her backstory, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, she's kind of a bitch, but you can tell.
She comes out the gate swinging with horribly racist Native American stereotypes at her. It's like, am I at a Trump rally? What the fuck?
And, I mean, dude, you can obviously tell her character is where the budget went.
Oh, 100%.
For this thing, too.
100%.
Her and the bear at the end. Like, they for sure are, because the fucking weirdo things that everyone else was doing, they didn't put that much money into it. Like,
there's a board of executives just sitting there going, shh, don't tell anybody. We worked for like 2.5 years on this, and like the best thing we got is a giant CGI bear. Please don't tell anybody.
I mean, even like Macy Williams' character, like freaking Wolfsbane, who is more supposed to be like a werewolf, like werewolf by night.
Yeah,
kind of is. No, she just turns into a dog, like not even a real wolf, like a wolf dog.
Yeah, I know. There's going to be a lot of furries out there who are disappointed about that shit.
Like,
I imagine she was a lot of people's awakenings when they opened up the pages of comics and they're like, oh, there's a woman there and she looks like, and I have an erection now. Okay, I guess that's a thing.
Them or Werewolf by Night.
That Werewolf by Night was for the ladies, or dudes who like other dudes. I'm not going to discriminate if you liked Werewolf by Night and he was your awakening. Good on you. There are way worse characters that could have been your awakening, like anyone created by Rob Liefeld. That giant Captain America with the massive pectorals. That's how you find out you're gay. It's like, oh, well, oh, shit, that's what I like. God damn it. I'm into dudes with tiny feet.
We're getting a little off subject here.
Well, what else is there to talk about? I mean, you got Cannonball, you've got Magic, you've got Wolfsbane. And this movie is just Sunspot. Thank you. That was the guy I was thinking. Wasn't Sunspot originally Japanese? Or am I thinking of somebody else? There's a fire-based person in Marvel Comics who's of Japanese descent, and I'm pretty sure it's Sunspot.
No, it's not. I'm looking at his origins right now.
Okay.
He's Brazilian in the comics, so... Okay. I think that's what this kid... I know who you're talking about, but I just can't put a name on it right now.
I'm missing it myself right now. I'll think of it later.
And for some reason, he doesn't want to use his powers because he's afraid of burning people, which is...
Well, there's an allusion to it when they're doing the Truth or Dare with the Truth Machine lie detector. Where they ask him, it's like, how many women have you been with? And it's like, 3. And like, that's a lot. And it's like, all right, fine, it was 1, and I almost killed her because I got really excited. And it's like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's like one of those, well, shit, that just got real quick.
That's like Rogue levels of tragic backstory right there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we sit through these characters all having a group circle that goes frickin' nowhere for the better part of an hour, and then
bam, not to mention the Logan footage,
recycled Logan footage.
In.
Yeah, don't think we don't see that shit, Fox, Disney,
and this whole time, like,
I always get drawn back to MST3K. Never put a better movie in the middle of your crappy one.
This is like the third time that they've been trying to hit so hard at Mr. Sinister, and we know it's not going to go anywhere because Fox bought out Disney bought out Fox. So
Oh God, that's
it's like
right.
whatever plans you had for Mr. Sinister are out the window.
Yeah.
This is not going to happen
Yeah.
anymore. But they still like. I honestly think they should have just paid the actors and scrapped this movie at this point.
Honestly, I think that probably would have been the better option. This movie, like you said at the beginning, it feels like the pilot for a TV show, and if that were the case, I would actually kind of be hooked to see what they do with this from now on. But
there was an X-Men TV show. It was called The Gifted, and it lasted 2 seasons and was meh.
yeah, well, therein lies a bit of the problem with this, is it's all just very meh at the end of it, and it just kind of spins its wheels. Also, Stranger Things kid, sorry. That's a different...
Terrible Southern accent.
The worst Southern accent ever. It just... no.
It's because it's a guy with an accent who's used to doing one American accent trying to do another American accent.
Yeah.
And you can obviously tell he's kind of just lost in the clusterfuck of trying to get a different accent down.
Here's my thing. Everybody else had their powers pretty well down, except for Wolfsbane, who kind of got the shaft on hers. And this guy, he's supposed to be Cannonball.
Yeah.
Whose power is he creates a force field around himself that protects him from his own vibrational blast. Am I missing something? Because that was always the thing in his comics. I'm not invulnerable when blasting. I think I did a better Southern accent than he did, but...
Yeah, I mean, he flies at jet speed in a force field. Yeah. And that's
it keeps himself from being torn apart.
And he obviously doesn't do that in this one.
No! He does nothing in this, except fly himself into the ground and allude to the fact that his mutant powers manifested when he was in a coal mine with a bunch of other dudes and accidentally killed his dad. Which, by the way, what is a teenager doing in a coal mine in 2020? Let's
I don't know.
Let's give the benefit of the doubt. Say this was 7 years ago. So, what was a teenager doing in a coal mine at the age of 13 in the first fucking place? Where do they live?
Actually, technically, if you think about it, because if this is supposed to be set with Logan, which time jumps, this is years in the future.
Oh God, that's right.
Because they reuse Logan footage, so this is like 2030 or 2040, sometime like that.
What is a coal mine doing active that far in the future? Surely we would have moved on to solar by that point.
Yep.
I don't know. If
it's also a movie that could not get its timeline right.
This is true, because they do allude to the idea of her employer being Charles Xavier. Which means people think that Professor X is still alive, I guess, which would mean the X-Men are still around, which would mean that it's not the Logan timeline, or it's not that future. I don't know, and I'm angry now.
So, it alluded that she was working for the X-Men, but she was working for Essex Corp instead, which also doesn't make sense because Essex Corp was alluded to in, like, X-Men Apocalypse, I want to say.
Oh God, are we in that timeline?
So, like, the Essex Corp is all over the place in these movies. Like, they definitely cannot get their timeline together. This movie just... They tried to go a different route, and I applaud them for trying something.
Well, that's something I actually
But it was not done well.
No, it's not. And that's something I want to touch on, actually, because while it tries to do some things new, which is totally fine, they also still rely on you knowing and understanding the X-Men universe. Like with Essex Corps, it's never really talked about what Essex Corps is or who they are in this context. So you have to know what X-Men is, you have to know their backstory, but at the same time they do entirely different things with the characters and their powers and such, so you have to also not know anything about X-Men and be willing to accept that things are and are not needed to be known in this universe. And then you run into the Man of Steel / Batman v Superman problem, where you have to know and not know who Superman is in the context of this world, and that just does not fly.
Yeah, it all turns into like a mind-numbing headache after a while.
I genuinely try to my damnedest to pay attention to these movies as we go into them and understand what's going on. Okay, I can see something interesting, and there were interesting things, but they are small snippets in a grander pile of and that's all I've got for this movie. I was so bored, I just resorted to browsing Reddit on my phone while occasionally looking up and going, oh, that's interesting. Okay, what's going on now? And just scroll. And yeah, like every maybe 20 minutes they would do something interesting and give you a little bit of backstory or allusion to what is going on with characters and their pasts. But apart from that, there's nothing. It's just boring.
Yeah. It was just... This movie had so many problems.
Yeah. When are they just going to nut up and do an X-Men TV show?
They did. It's called The Gifted.
Oh, that's right. They did. Shit. Tell you what.
It's about Magneto's daughter, Polaris.
Remind me in about 2.5 weeks when we discuss another Marvel property, because that's the time it takes to turn one of these out, and I'll ask the same question again.
Okay, I didn't know we were doing another Marvel property in 2 weeks, but noted.
It's just how long it takes them to get them out nowadays. That's all you need. That's all you need. I think that's all we've got for New Mutants. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Nope.
I don't either. All right, we're talking about Mandalorian now.
Yeah, we picked a week to try to do something else when all the interesting episodes happened.
Well, yes, and no. I'm kind of interested to talk about these 3 episodes. For the life of me, for whatever reason, thought that we had only 3 episodes left, and we were going to do 2 and then a big finale. But now we're doing 3 and then a big finale because I fucked up the timelines myself. So, let's go ahead and start with episode 6. Are we up to?
Yep.
Okay, episode 6. This is the one.
No, wait.
No,
we're 5, 6, and 7.
5, 6, and 7.
5,
Yes,
6,
that's right.
7.
All right, episode 5. The one where they meet Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano? I don't know.
Ahsoka Tano.
Ahsoka Tano. Okay. I'll never get that right. They meet Rosario Dawson in face paint. So
Ahsoka Tano.
They finally land on the planet. This episode really did not sit well with me at the beginning. It felt like it was going to be a very exposition heavy episode. When Mando finally shows up, he starts talking to us about things we already know. It's like, well, this is the planet we're supposed to be on. Here's the area we're supposed to go to. And it's like, we know this. If you're going to give us exposition, tell us something we don't know. I know you're supposed to be on this planet. I know you're looking for a Jedi. Stop talking to nothing.
Well, I mean, it started out with Ahsoka, like, kicking the ever-loving shit out of a bunch of people.
Yes. Which, I'm not going to lie.
And then Mando does that.
It was pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the super flippy, high fantasy-style action the Jedi do, but I think this episode handled it well, actually. But yeah, we get...
Yeah, she was very much... It was very more stealth, like...
Yes.
She flicked the lightsabers on when she needed to and cut them down and then flicked them up and stealthed around.
Right. But we find out that this warlord is oppressing a small little village of people.
Yep.
And Mando shows up and he's like, I need to find a Jedi. And she's like, I need you to kill a Jedi. Do it and I'll give you this spear made of Beskar. Which they actually give a little bit of an interesting way to determine what is Beskar, because if you tap it against something, it's kind of like silver. You'll hear a very specific ring to it. If for anybody who ever actually gets their hands on a silver quarter, flip it, and it will sound way different than a regular quarter. Just watch Batman the Animated Series, because they use that sound effect whenever Harvey Dent flips his coin, because that's the sound of a silver coin being flipped. And that's dead air captured right there. That's what's great for a podcast, the sounds of nothing.
Well, I didn't know that, so I was processing that information.
Okay.
I legit had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did not know that.
Silver will sound differently if you flip it in a coin form. At least I don't know about others.
No, I
but...
do that. I knew the thing about silver. I didn't know that about Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, if they don't, they mimic something very similar to it. But yeah, every time you hear Harvey Dent flip his coin, it sounds an awful like the audio captured for a silver coin being flipped.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, the more you know about Batman the Animated Series. Anyway,
all right.
But yeah, the Warlord sends Mando off to go find Ahsoka. And
Tano.
Ahsoka.
Yes.
Okay, I was on it, and then I was just gonna call her Ahsoka, and you had to throw that in there. Now my brain's messed it up again, Jared. I hope you're happy. So she contracts Mando to go find the Jedi, and he's like, "Well, okay, I don't see why I can't just get this spear out of this entire deal and just be done with this." So they find him, and then we find out the child's name, and I start to laugh.
Grogu.
And again, every time I hear this, it mentally, for whatever reason, I guess it just sounds too much like it. It reminds me of a character they had in American Dad, Roger's child, Rogu. And so every time I hear them talk about that in my head, I'm just hearing, Rogu like you.
You see, my mind keeps going to Cheryl's D&D character, Bogju.
Yes.
Like, that's where my mind goes, and I'm like,
Getting a little personal there, but for peel back the curtain, I run a D&D game, and Jared and his lovely missus attend, and she plays a grung named Bogju. So that's Jared's point of reference. I'm just making shit tier American Dad jokes.
Sorry, man. I got a little personal there, but that's what it like. That's the first thing that came to my head when I heard this fucker's name.
This is a place where you can get personal. You can talk about things like that. But yeah, we learn the child's name is Grogu. Like, I seriously want to just call it Rogu every fucking time, man. And we finally understand that it's Grogu, and she will not train it or cannot train it. It's not really made clear. She does tell him to go to another world.
Well, so I have insight on this for a couple of things.
Well, it's a planet that they introduced in the game The Old Republic, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it is or what it's called.
I mean, Ahsoka not training. I have a little bit of insight.
Please divulge, because I have not followed a lot of the extended universe because I lost interest in Star Wars a while ago.
Okay, so there's two big reasons. One, she talks about like all the fear and stuff she sensed in Grogu. Ahsoka was Anakin Skywalker's Padawan.
Yes, this I know, because the internet is a terrible, terrible place, and you don't want to know the things I've seen.
Okay, well, there's also the fact that Ahsoka never completed her Jedi training. She was kicked out of the Jedi Order because she was accused of murder. She was proved innocent, but this is after the Jedi kicked her out, and then they invite her back, and she was like, no, you guys were willing to believe that I committed this heinous crime. And like it was basically only Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker believed she didn't do it, and they worked their asses off to prove her innocence. Like, to the point Anakin came in at the last second with the real culprit in her trial. Yeah. Like, and so she was just like, fuck y'all, I'm out. So she never completed. She was never even like a Jedi Knight. She left the Order as a Padawan. Okay. So she is not super trained in the ways of the Force. She knows enough to get her by, but she her training stopped at Padawan level. Now she is retardedly powerful as far as like Force users and stuff go, because she has killed Inquisitors with her bare hands, and her lightsaber she made is actually like parts of an Inquisitor's lightsaber that she killed and purified their red crystals.
Yeah, we don't have time to go into the crystal purification killing thing, because we just don't. Just trust us on this. There's something out there about that. Other people know more than I do on this shit. I don't.
Oh, it was introduced in the Marvel comics that red crystals come from tortured Jedi crystals. It's a tortured crystal stolen from a dead Jedi's lightsaber.
Well, you know what? I'm going to continue to just have the Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic version where you find a pretty colored crystal, and that's how it generates a color, by producing a beam of light through it.
That's what they want you to think, sure.
That's because that's the most sensible method of it, rather than magic space rocks that are put into laser-conducting swords. Anyway.
All right. To the episode
again. Mando and Ahsoka come to an agreement, and they agree to assault the fortress that is oppressing these people. And so it's like, okay.
Yes.
And this episode went from being like my least favorite with all the very dialogue that we already know, heavy portions of it, to being probably my favorite action portion of an episode in the entire 2-season run so far. Because this turns into like a spaghetti western showdown between Mando and the bodyguard that the warlord has. And it turns into a samurai fight between the warlord and Ahsoka. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, this is all I've ever wanted from anything.
It was pretty good.
It was really good. Like, I normally don't comment on fight sequences because it's really difficult to describe fight sequences in an audio context like this. But there's so much there in the way they move, the way they act. And it's all slow but fast. It's fluid, but it's slow so you can see what's going on. But it's quick enough that you can process that this is all very, very dangerous for everyone involved.
Well, we also kind of learned something else here, too. Like, something I didn't know, that apparently Beskar is lightsaber proof?
Apparently, yes, which I guess that makes sense because, like, it deflects laser blasts.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't be, to an extent.
It's just one of those things. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, yeah, they have their combat, and it's, honest to God, one of the best fight scenes I've seen in a long while. Like I say, it's all very fluid. It's not a bunch of the super quick, flippy, jumpy stuff that they did in the prequels. They stick very much towards the original trilogy / newer trilogy, which I actually do like the lightsaber combat in the new trilogy movies. Like the one in episode 7, the lightsaber fights in episode 7 are probably some of the best stuff they've put on screen for that series of movies. It's nice and slow, it's methodical, but there's power behind it. There's understanding. It's not just a fight, if that makes any sense.
Well, episode 7, some of the lightsaber fights, was Finn, and Finn didn't even have an idea of how to really use a lightsaber.
Yes, and I'm totally fine with that, and that's part of why I liked it. It's like, oh, okay, cool, new people doing new things. Let's see more of that, and then they just decided, Finn didn't need a character arc, or much of anything, really. Let's just push him to the side.
Well, then it was then Rey was the chosen one.
Yeah.
Now, and
yeah, now we have our chosen one arc. And it's like, really, are we doing this again? God damn it. All right, fine. At least make it a good one. Oh, you couldn't do that? Oh, shit.
Well, you switched directors and couldn't figure out how you wanted to do it.
We're not here to shit on the sequel trilogy, because if we did, this video would be 17 billion hours long.
Well, we did that in another video.
We did. We did that in several videos. Anyway, yeah, they have a really well done. It's all super well choreographed. The mood lighting, the atmosphere is just pitch perfect, and it really made this episode. And I like each episode has done something that I like a lot in the series, and I think this one has by far done the best fight scene. And that includes the next episode we're going to talk about.
That's a compliment coming from you, Sean.
It is. I like this show a lot. It is, like I say, it is not a perfect show, but it does understand that you can do something in Star Wars besides remember that, and it
callback.
Yeah, it does. It does way more than callbacks, which I like a lot. I appreciate that. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, you get a thumbs up. I know you can't see it because we don't have video for this because of reasons that I may disclose one day. But you guys get a thumbs up for making a really cool show. Reasons. But with that being said, Ahsoka and Mando part ways, and he flies off to Tython.
Yes, he does.
To place the child on a stone where it communes with the Force, I think. It shoots a blue beam into the sky.
It calls it out through the Force to find a Jedi Master.
Which, I don't know where that's going to go, but we'll find out in the final episode, I bet.
I mean, there's only a handful of Jedi left, so there's only so many people it can call.
This is true.
I think there are roughly 10 alive
Something like
in this timeline.
Something like that. But we get the return of everybody's favorite, Ming-Na Wen. Her assassin character returns as a cyborg? Question mark?
Not completely. Like, she's... Basically, it is confirmed that a certain someone who shows up like 10 seconds later saved her life in the last season.
Yeah. Boba Fett shows up.
You gotta admit, you even told me that you think he had more character development in this episode than in the entirety of the run of Boba Fett in the movie.
Yes, he did. And you know what? You want to know what else? This entire sequence feels more like a fan film than it does a long, extended action sequence. And for something that the rest of this series has done really high-budget, high-concept stuff, this just kind of felt very Like, it's never a good idea to upstage your main character in their own show for various story reasons. Like, you can do that with a bad guy because then that gives your hero, like, a peak to achieve, like when they finally overcome the bad guy. That shows that they've gone beyond what they were and they've become something more. And that's fine. That's good storytelling. That's fine. When you have another character just pop in and be the most badass ever, whoever badassed, it's like, well, why the fuck are we following this guy? See? Gravity agrees with me.
A few things.
The world's just started to crumble at the sight of the might of my argument. Take that, universe! But yeah, we get Boba Fett again, and I still contend it should have been Daniel Logan. It should have been Daniel Logan. He's done the voice in the cartoons, and he's already young Boba Fett. He was in the movies, for God's sake. But no, we have to have Boba Fett, Jango Fett, because people know what Boba Fett looks like, because Jango Fett looked like that, and he was a clone. And we can't have things that differ from the original, and I stopped caring about Boba Fett again.
Poor Sean.
Like, it was interesting when you brought in the armor, and it's like, okay, well, that's fine. It's a nice little callback. Haha, Boba Fett. Just let Boba Fett go, do new things. And this just felt like it was somebody walking in and saying, we haven't seen anything from the other movies. Put the Boba Fett in there. And somebody looked at me and was like, this show's already about a Mandalorian. It's like, what the fuck's a Mandalorian? Kids know the Boba Fett. Put the Boba Fett in. And they're like, all right, fine, fuck ever.
Like that scene in South Park, the pandemic special, where Mickey's like, no, I said more Mandalorian, more!
Yeah, that's exactly it, actually. And...
more Mandalorians!
And yeah, Boba Fett just walks in while they're Mando and Ming-Na Wen are being besieged on all sides by incoming stormtroopers, and just starts killing everything. And it's like, yeah, fine, we get it. Boba Fett's awesome. fuck off with this. Tell an original story like you were doing, and leave Boba Fett the fuck out of it. Sorry, I had to go on a little tirade there. It's one of those things that gets to me where, like, the show feels like it can't survive without dangling something from the original in front of you when it was doing so well to avoid all of that until basically right now. And I'm just like, fuck off.
Well, they're also setting up all their sequel shows and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we've got to have what was it, 1,000 new Star Wars titles and 1,000 new Marvel titles, all coming to Disney Plus. And there's going to be 15 million new Disney titles coming out that are all the old DVDs and sequel movies that they churned out in the 90s to late 2000s that, like, everybody and nobody bought because nobody gave a shit, but Disney title was on it, and so people just used the TV as a babysitter and said, here, watch this. You like Aladdin, right? Well, here's Aladdin again, in Aladdin 2, the search for something. I don't fucking remember what. Like, the only one I remember, oh wait, Aladdin 2 was the Return of Jafar, wasn't it?
Yeah, Aladdin 3 was the
Aladdin
Prince of Thieves.
3 was the one that was supposed to be a TV show that never got off the ground, and they just combined the first 3 episodes into a movie.
No, the Aladdin TV show was a thing, too.
Then what was Aladdin 3 about?
His dad was Alibaba.
What?
Yeah, his dad was Alibaba. Like Alibaba and the 40 Thieves.
Yeah, I know who Alibaba is, but Genie does a song about Alibaba and the 40 Thieves in the first movie, and like Aladdin doesn't go, oh, you mean my dad? And Genie's like, what?
Don't ask me, dog.
This is so confusing. I don't.
Time paradox.
Oh God, my brain hurts.
It was all a dream.
No,
Sean.
it's not. It's a horrible waking nightmare that we can never escape. Anyway, the Boba Fett shows up and Moff Gideon gets the kid with the Dark Troopers. I'm fairly certain that's what they're going with in this because they're like robot stormtroopers, and that's basically what the Dark Troopers were.
He called them Dark Troopers.
Did he? I don't remember hearing that term.
He called them Dark Troopers. They are definitely the Dark Troopers.
Okay, then they're Dark Troopers. Fine. Yay. Good.
You were right.
Yay!
Except they're robots. They're not actual people.
Oh. Well, that being said...
They're totally...
That being said,
they're cyborgs.
I know I just ragged on this for having to rely on more well-known aspects of Star Wars, but that's kind of my point, because they immediately follow that up with something that is not one of the more well-known aspects of Star Wars from, like, the book and video game series, like, specifically, what was it where you're Kyle Katarn, like, Jedi Jesus? Dark Forces. Like, that's a big part of the game Dark Forces, which, by the way, super fun game. Like, you can pick it up and run it on even your box of computer. It's a Doom knockoff, but it's a good Doom knockoff. And you get to play as the most badass person in the entirety of Star Wars.
Darth Revan?
No. Kyle motherfucking Katarn. You can take that to the bank, good sir.
I don't know. Revan was pretty badass.
No, Kyle Katarn will beat him to a pulp.
I'm actually going to have to go look up who Kyle Katarn is.
You better look up who Kyle Katarn is, because he's who the Rogue One should have been based on. Stealing Death Star plans? That was Kyle Katarn, and that's a prequel to everything you do.
Well, that show's also getting made.
What show?
About the guy in Rogue One.
Oh, right. The Cassian Andor. The only reason I remember that name is because it sounds like a Star Trek thing. There's a race of beings called the Andorians in Star Trek, and that's why I remember him. Is he's the not Star Trek Star Wars person.
Well, his show is getting made.
Yeah, it is.
Coming to Disney Plus.
God, can we just be done with this nightmare, please? Just set me free. Anyway, the Dark Troopers come down and kidnap Grogu. Almost said Rogu again.
Grogu.
They kidnapped Grogu. It's a struggle for me not to say Rogu, man. Like, it genuinely is.
You guys don't know how bad Sean is struggling.
It's hard, folks. They kidnap Grogu, and Moff Gideon throws him in a room with a bunch of stormtroopers, and it's just like, yeah, throw these people around. I don't give a fuck. And shows off his lightsaber.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like, Grogu has full mastery. Like, he's started to remember how to use the Force and is just throwing these motherfuckers around.
I don't think he has full mastery because he tires very quickly. And, like, if you wanted to say he had full mastery of the Force, then he could do it like nothing, I guess, or something.
Well, not full mastery, but he's been... I mean, by the time we cut to this, Grogu's been there for a minute, and he's just still just throw... Like, they're cautiously approaching him. He's like, no, fuck you, and just... It keeps throwing these motherfuckers around. Yeah. And then finally he tires out.
Yeah. Well, we're also kind of led to believe that these might be the same people, so he may have just been throwing them around for fun. Like, he gets that bloodlust in his eyes, like, I've seen you die many times! Do it again! Throws him against a wall and his neck snaps. Yay!
You really think Baby Yoda's a monster, don't you?
He is! He satisfies himself on the blood of innocence. We've seen this. He eats offspring. He's a horrible eating machine. The best thing Mando can do is set a pack of AA batteries in front of him and just say, go to town, kid. Spare the universe this horrible monster.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's where the line's drawn now? Dead baby jokes? We've done way worse on this show before. You kidding me?
Have we?
I'm pretty sure we have. I hope so.
I'm pretty sure the line never hit a dead baby joke, John.
I hope we've done worse, because otherwise this is going to be the worst fucking thing I've done on this show. That's where Boba Fett's introduction has driven me to. Marvel, Disney Star Wars, I mean. I hope you're happy. I mixed up my properties, and I'm making dead baby jokes. That's where we're at.
Sean is just slowly degrading into a terrible person.
I've always been a terrible person. It's just the mask is slipping more and more now. Oh, God. Okay. Alright. Grogu throwing people around. Moff Gideon shows off his Darksaber for reasons. Like, he just kind of waves it in Baby Yoda's face. Like, I literally have to start calling him Baby Yoda again because I can't do the other one.
I mean, you're not wrong. He does just kind of, you're not ready for this level of blah, blah, blah yet. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, and Mando goes back to the one place with Carl Weathers and Gina Carrero and enlists her aid in finding Bill Barr.
Cara Dune. I finally remembered her name after so many episodes. Cara Dune.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about her and how she's kind of been showing her ass lately on Twitter?
Let's not. Like, she put out some tweets and like some not so great tweets.
Yeah, there's some bad takes in there. Like, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt on one of them, where her and Pedro Pascal had a bit of a sit down and talk about pronouns and gender identification. And she had it in her Twitter bio where it's just a series of, like, beeps and boops next to her name, where usually they have them or she, him, her, however you choose to identify. And I'm like, that could just be something that kind of happened. Maybe she did it before then. I don't know the specifics on it. That one I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt, but she's given some bad takes, and a lot of people are saying, hey, we don't want her on the show anymore.
Yeah.
Which, according to something that I read... Sorry, go ahead.
There were talks of her having her own spinoff.
Yes. Which...
Basically, Disney... from what I've heard, Disney has told her, like, you need to get your shit together. We need, like, a public apology.
Yeah.
Or no show.
Yeah, that's where
balls in her court now.
Yeah, and we really don't know.
Also, after like a season and a half, I finally realized where I recognize her from.
She's an MMA fighter.
Not only that, she was the freaking chick who always had the match in her mouth in Deadpool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that too. Yeah, I just rewatched Deadpool like a couple of days ago and saw that myself. And I was like, oh, yeah, she is in this. Back in the days when I could enjoy things.
I was like, why does she look so familiar? Like,
yeah.
I've seen her in something, and then I'm like, oh my god, she was in Deadpool.
Yeah, that's exactly where I know her from. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. I don't like I get having,
that's all I really care to comment on it.
Yeah,
like
I'm not about holding my own personal opinions over somebody else and saying you should not have opinions or not have a job. But at the same time, she's thrown out some pretty bad takes that are associated with some pretty bad people. And if you're going to start aligning yourself with some of those parts of their world, it's really just a question of how far are you willing to go before you're just completely on their side. And, like, nobody wants to work with somebody like that.
Well,
and
time will tell.
Only time will tell. And we may not have a Cara Dune show. Who knows?
We
could have Disney a Carl Weathers show. Yes!
I'm down.
Yes! Now I'm on board for this.
I mean, they've already confirmed, like, so many other fucking shows. Like,
do it, Disney, you cowards. You give Carl Weathers a show, god damn you. That man's earned it.
Sean, calling you out, Disney.
Yes, I am.
Balls in your court.
Yeah,
now.
Balls in your court, Disney. What you gonna do?
What you gonna do, Disney? When Sean calls you.
Yeah. When this maybe 20-pound flabby sack of fat and muscle on my bicep comes calling for you, what you gonna do? Yeah. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue like these 24-inch pythons, but
so I would like to go back, though, and comment on Cara Dune.
Okay.
That she is now wearing that badge in the center of her belt.
Yes, she is. And which I think is partially...
What I said last time. What I said last time holds closer to true than ever. It totally looks like the Green Ranger's power point. I expected her to morph at any second. Like, at any given second, I was waiting for her to go Dragon Sword and turn into the Green Ranger.
Sure. Oh, why not? Oh, I needed that. Thank you, Jared.
You're welcome. But you know it's true.
It is very true.
That thing looks like the Green Ranger's power cord.
It is very true. It looks like a Sentai piece. It all leads back to it. George Lucas is a time-traveling hack. He stole all this. Everything in there. But that leads us into our final episode for the night, which is we get a... I was unsure about how this is going to work, because Bill Barr's character... I'm not a huge fan of Bill Barr, like, just in general. Like, his comedy is very hit or miss for me. It's all focused about being very aggressive, and while he never kicks down in his comedy, it sometimes feels like he's just kicking sideways.
I also think it's pronounced Bill Burr.
Burr. You're right. Bill Barr is the Attorney General who kind of looks like hell threw him back out. My apologies, Mr. Barr. Or Mr. Burr. Bill Barr can just go suck a fat cock. Bill Burr. I'm just going to edit all that out. No, I'm not. It's all staying in. All of this horribleness is staying in. Bill Burr, the character that had the robo-arm from the Prison Break episode, which was probably my favorite episode of the previous season. They call him back because apparently he has ties to the Empire.
Yes, he does.
And they're like, hey, you used to work for them. Well, we need information. And he's like, I'll do what I can, but can't guarantee much.
Am I the only one who thought it was just a little convenient that Kara could just walk on this planet, flash her badge, and move a prisoner? Like, she is an off-world marshal of a planet That's a lot of power you give your marshals.
Yes, but Star Wars has always kind of relied on convenience like that, so it just kind of falls into place with everything else. So it really doesn't.
I just
bother
know
me that
in
hard.
real life
that's not a thing.
Yeah.
No, I would.
But hey, it was a
there.
long time. It was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far,
This
far
is true.
away.
This is true. They didn't have as developed a police force as we do now, where they can just beat people to death and let the officer dispense justice like that. Oh God, Jared, could you say something stupid like you did earlier? I kind of need that laugh again. But we
go Kara Ranger.
No, it's gone. It's all gone. Anyway, we get another heist style episode where they try to go and get information. And
well, you also get a big look into Mando's mindset as of now, and his beliefs are questioned in this episode by Bill Burr's character, the most unlikely person to question it, and it makes you think. He's like, so I mean, you're kind of breaking your own rules, so what really are your rules? Is it you can't take your helmet off, or you just can't show your face? Which he does both.
This is a fine episode because this does a lot of communicating, like you say. Not a lot is verbally explained to the audience. It all relies on you looking at subtext. And it's super, super good because it's just Bill Burr and Mando having this conversation about where you draw the line. And how, and he says the best things like how you get to sleep. As long as you can go to sleep with yourself, you're doing better than most. But they end up hijacking a shipment of, I guess we're going to call it space gasoline again, because that's the best I got for it. And they start trying to wheel themselves in there. And Bill Burr and Mando get disguised as stormtroopers and go in, and pirates try to blow up the space fuel, I guess?
Yes.
Yeah, they just kind of show up out of nowhere. I think it would have been more impactful if it were, rebels from the little village that they go through that are trying to, rebel against the Empire, and that would kind of show the levels of desperation that these people have sunk to.
I think it was kind of supposed to be that, but they never really made it clear.
They don't, and the villagers all look human versus the raiders, which all look like doofy aliens that they just had sitting around.
That's a good way to describe it, actually.
Yeah, but they're the only transport that gets through, and they finally get in there, and they're like, all right, we just got to get to a terminal and extract the information we need on Moff Gideon's ship. And that's when we learn that Bill Burr's previous commanding officer is sitting in the mess hall, which I guess the Chow Hall's the closest or only terminal they have. Again, this is something that relies very heavily on convenience.
Where have I seen that officer before, though?
I do not know. I was asking myself the same question. He looks super familiar. He did a wonderful job.
Yeah, I've either seen him in Star Wars or something Star Wars adjacent, and I can't put my finger on it.
Same.
I know the face.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it also brings in something that I was mentioning earlier, where they delve into some of the not quite as well-known aspects of Star Wars, where they mentioned Operation Cinder, which, if I'm not mistaken, is part of Star Wars. What was the one that came out before Outcast, where you were an Imperial that ends up defecting? Was it Battlefront 2? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't either. But they touch on that. Operation Cinder was effectively what happened if the Emperor ever fell. It was a set of protocols put in place for the Empire to survive. and they tried to launch that operation to effectively destroy large portions of the galaxy that would have led to significant resistance and upheaval against the Empire. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. That gets people kind of interested. It's like, well, what's Operation Cinder? Oh, it's part of a game? I'd like to play that, maybe. And then they can explore more of that. And it's like the Dark Troopers. You learn, it's like, oh, Dark Troopers are from this book series. I'd like to read more of that. Let's find out who these are, what these are, and then you can explore more. And eventually it starts. He kind of becomes Christoph Waltz from Inglourious Bastards, mixed with a little bit of DiCaprio's character from Django Unchained. I felt like it definitely kind of felt like they were trying to mimic that style of character.
I can see that.
Yeah, because eventually Bill Burr hits his limit and shoots the guy dead, and proceeds to then shoot everybody else in the mess hall. Is like, I mean, we had to do it, right? They saw your face. Let's get out of here. After we should probably set up before Mando goes into the mess hall to access the terminal that apparently requires facial identification and takes his helmet off. So apparently this terminal just needed somebody's face. Like, that seems like a bit of a security flaw. Like, why even have it if it's just anybody can access it so long as it can see your face?
I don't know. That is kind of weird.
Like, the only thing I can think of it being there would be, like, say you were doing it for security purposes, and so that way if somebody accessed classified information, they had a recorded shot of who did it. But if that were the case, then they would know what Mando's face looked like anyway, so it really wouldn't... Well, they destroy the base at the end of the episode, so maybe that's fine.
Holy shit, I just realized who the fuck he is.
Who is it?
It's the guy who played Joe Chill in Batman Begins.
No way! Huh. Well, that's neat.
Oh my god. That was bugging me so bad, so I finally went and looked it up. Yeah, that's the guy who played Joe Chill in So that's the guy who killed Batman's parents. No wonder he plays an evil bastard.
There you go.
Great.
There you go. He was a good bad guy. I liked him a lot in this, actually. He delivered a sense of gravitas that is really missing from cartoonish bad guys in things like Star Wars.
Yeah. You're not wrong. He just, like, you felt that fuck this. Like, I was like, man, I don't know who this guy is, but fuck this guy. Like, this guy's a douche. Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Now I know why.
Yeah. No, he was good. He was very good. So now that they have the information, Joe Chill, I guess I'm just gonna call him Joe Chill for now. Calls over Bill Burr and Mando and is like, so he starts questioning Mando, and finally Bill Burr walks up and is like, sorry, you're gonna have to speak up. He's a little hard of hearing. Pressure seal blew out on one of his transports and kind of messed with him. And like, isn't that right, buddy? And he just kind of shouts at him.
Yeah, they calls him like Brown Eyes.
Yeah, he's like, he don't talk too much. Most people we just call him Brown Eyes. Come on, Brown Eyes, let's go file those reports. And they think they're getting out of there. Until finally he just calls him over and he's like, I'd like to get you fellas a drink. I tried to combine fellas and boys there and came out with foys. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's late, dude. It's almost 3 o'clock.
It's very late. We're doing this at 3 a.m. because neither of us have any life whatsoever outside of doing our jobs and not going outside.
I work until 1 a.m. every day, so I'm up and I have a 9-month-old. So.
You have more of an excuse to be up this late than I do. But
you work night shift.
I work night shift. But they go over and they have a drink, and that's when Joe Chill starts talking about the glory of the Empire and how the galaxy needs them to maintain order and how they'll be thanking them and coming crawling back to them. And it's like, okay, this guy, he's part of that thing that the Empire really needs, is the people who genuinely believe the sick, twisted shit they do is all for the greater good. Yep. And that they are a necessary force in the universe. And he
is definitely that guy, too.
Yeah, he is. And it's just so good. And you can just... And I'll give credit to Bill Burr. You can see it really start to worm under his skin when he's talking about it. And it's just... Like, I may not be a huge fan of your stand-up comedy, but he's a pretty darn good actor from what I've seen. I'd like to see him do some other stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
But we get
I mean, you could just feel it like itching and crawling at him though, and I'm just waiting for him to blow up, and
yeah,
it got to that point, and he's like, nope.
Yeah,
Pow.
yeah, it just got to that point where it's like, nope, we can't do this no more. And yeah, it's damn decent, damn good bit of screen there. And so finally, he shoots Joe Chill, and then they have to shoot their way out of the base. And then Cara Dune and Ming-Na Wen, who, God, I'm just gonna have to add her to the list of people who I don't remember their character names. I just know I'm pleasantly happy when they're in the program. Her and Carl Winslow are both on that list.
You mean Carl Weathers?
Carl Weathers, yes. I don't know where I got Carl Winslow.
Well, his character's name is freaking Ref Karga.
I'm just gonna call him Carl Wilson.
And Ming-Na Wen's character's name is Finnick Shand. So
I'm just gonna call her Ming-Na Wen.
Their characters are not easy
No,
to
they're
remember.
not. I'm just gonna remember them as Carl Weathers and Ming-Na Wen for the rest of my life.
Like it took me a second, but Cara Dune is something easy to remember.
It is.
Everything else, not so much.
Like, I know Mando has a name. It's like Den Zhang or something like that, but I can't remember.
Jin,
I can't remember that. I'm just gonna fucking call him Mando.
Yeah, Mando's much easier.
It is. Fucking done with this shit. Anyway, we have an extended fight scene, and Mando and Bill Burr escape, and Bill Burr ends up destroying the refinery that they were at.
Yep. And then they decide, well, I think he died.
Yeah, they have
he's totally died.
They have the classic,
That's a shame the prisoner died.
Yeah, they have the classic, well, it's a damn shame this person died in the explosion. They probably would have been labeled a really good person if they were still alive.
And they kind of just look at him. He's like, "Are you serious right
Yeah.
now?" Like, I loved that too. He's like, He's like, "I'll go."
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if we're doing this, I'm out of here.
He just slowly kind of starts backing up, like, "Fuck it, they're letting me go."
Yeah. And then the episode ends with Mando delivering an ultimatum to Moff Gideon, which kind of seems like something you shouldn't do. When you're a professional hunter, you don't traditionally let your prey know that you're on your way to kill them, so that way you have the element of surprise.
Well, it's one of those, like, this is showing, like, where Mando is at this point. Like, he didn't come out right and say it, but he loves that little green guy.
Yeah, that little green eating machine that will destroy the galaxy. This
is to the point where he has gotten, like, he's like, nah, fuck you, it's over. I definitely think Bo-Katan will probably be back next episode.
Probably.
We were gonna get anywhere from 3 to 5 Mandalorians in action. And Boba Fett repainted his armor.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And then he flew a ship, which only Boba Fett can do.
Well,
we can't have any
Slave One.
Nobody else flies ships like Boba Fett.
Well, I'm interested to see if what ship is Mando gonna take now that he has.
That's right. We didn't even talk about the fact that Moff Gideon gave him the finger and blew up his ship. I'm kind of mad about that. I like that ship design.
I did too, but the only thing that survived that ship being blown up was the little bauble that Grogu likes to move around and the spear that he got in the previous episode, which, I mean, I'm okay with not having a... I was wrong again. Ahsoka is not gonna... It appears Ahsoka is not gonna help because she's looking for Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, they allude to Grand Admiral Thrawn as well, and it's like, well, fuck, we're just bringing in all kinds of shit.
So, well, this is Ahsoka's show is, I think, now that it is confirmed she's looking for Thrawn, this is definitely going to pick up her arc from Rebels and finish it out. Because last anyone heard of Thrawn, he was like lost in space, like right before the Battle of Endor with Ezra Bridger, who is another Jedi.
Right.
So her show is going to pick up from there, probably. And bring in a live-action Ezra Bridger in, but no. So we know Mando is going to combat the Darksaber with his spear.
Yes. Yes, we do.
So we're going to get what I'm hoping is an awesome Mando Moff Gideon showdown.
Hopefully, and maybe it'll end without a stupid reveal for a toy.
I don't think they can do what they did last season. Like, so many shows do that over and over again, but with, like, this show, I don't think you can do that again
Right.
and it work
I'm hoping they don't.
well. Like, I mean, I see it so often, like, The Flash did that, like, 4 or 5 years in a row, just fucking cliffhanger after cliffhanger after cliffhanger, and then, like, I think the bigger cliffhangers were all the shows that ended this year abruptly because of COVID.
Yeah.
Like, it's a bigger cliffhanger than at the end of the season where you're just kind of left going, what the fuck? How are they going to resolve that? And then, oh, by the way, no more episodes because of COVID. Bam. Fuck your shows. It was like, okay.
All right, then.
But luckily, a lot of shows that are shot in Canada and Canadians are smart and don't have COVID. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, like 11 million compared to 300,000. Definitely something the Canadians are doing right up there. Just gonna put that out there.
Plus, they have a baking show that doesn't suck.
The Canadians have a lot of things that doesn't suck.
Yeah, this is true.
I've talked to Cheryl multiple times about becoming Canadian. I told her we just need to take you up there and let you go into labor with Jupiter so we can get dual citizenship. I had it planned and she didn't want to do it.
I can't believe she didn't want to travel, 700 miles to get to Canada?
We could have had it made, though. Our kid could have been a Canadian
Could
citizen.
have had legal weed.
Had free health care.
Free health care.
Legal weed, free health care. Canada knows what they're doing.
A prime minister who wore blackface to a party.
Canada legalized weed and cleared out their national debt in a week.
Yeah, basically.
Like, why have we not done this yet?
Because we are busy making Star Wars shows that people like, and that's what we're talking about, not the horrible disparage.
You want to buy some?
Do I want to?
You want to buy some death sticks?
I thought you were going to ask if I wanted to buy Star Wars weed.
You want to buy some all natural death sticks that aren't death sticks that just get you high?
Wouldn't that be spice then?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, it's sued in D&D and it's spice in Star Wars.
It's important.
Want to buy some
It's important to know what drugs you're talking about in which universe.
I always thought spice was more of a. I thought spice was more of like opioids, like
Probably.
in Star
All I
Wars
know is that the
terms.
spice must flow. You're not going to get that
I don't
joke.
know, but then no, sorry.
Am I the only one who's read Dune? Seriously, read Dune. It's great. Great book. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us here. Before we go off on more tangents about fucking Canada and Dune. You know, all things not in the Star Wars / New Mutants. That's what this episode's been about, right? It feels like we've been talking about this for 100 years now.
New Mutants was New Mutants.
Yeah, New Mutants sucked in some parts and didn't in others. And Mandalorian has been continued to be a perfectly pretty good show that keeps me coming back. It makes me want to watch it more than The Boys has ever tried.
Just give it a shot, man.
We might have a discussion about The Boys one day. I can see that being a podcast if we run out of other ideas. But that's going to do it for us. That's going to do it for us. If we actually start talking about The Boys, then we're already at almost an hour and a half for this. So That's before before editing magic happens, so you never know. But that's going to do it for us here today. If you liked what you heard, I hope you had fun listening to us babble and ramble about Mandalorian and New Mutants and everything else in between. Leave a comment down below, give a subscribe, and we will see you back here for some more Showtimes. Later, everybody.
Later, guys.